person who's written the song tends to be the one person who sees that one song all the way through from the idea they have in their head at first. Queen's crew members kept a disturbing secret for decades. They witnessed John Deacon's shocking behavior backstage. That would have ended careers if it ever got out. Even Freddie Mercury was stunned by what the Quiet One did during live shows. But that wasn't the worst part. By 1991, Deacon was drinking heavily and showing signs of a complete mental breakdown. The band was falling apart. And it wasn't just because of Freddie's illness. Now at 73, Deacon has finally revealed what really drove him to the edge and why he's been hiding the truth all these years. John Richard Deacon's life began with a heartbreak that would follow him quietly for years. Born on August 19, 1951 in Leicester, England, he lost his father when he was still a boy. His mother, Molly, suddenly had to raise John and his sister, Julie, on her own in a post-war Britain where money was tight and every day meant a new challenge. Those early years taught John the weight of responsibility long before most children ever face it. While other boys his age could simply dream, John had to stay grounded, and it gave him a maturity that would later make him stand out. That calm, steady nature became his shield and in time his greatest strength. Beneath the quiet exterior, though, was a mind that seemed made for invention. At Chelsea College in London, John studied electronic engineering with a focus that stunned his professors. He graduated with first-class honors in 1971, something only a small fraction of students ever achieved. His lecturers believed he had the talent to reshape modern electronics, and job offers rolled in from major companies. One research position at MARD would have given him a salary far higher than what most musicians were making in those years. Even as a student, he was designing circuits and sound systems that left professionals amazed. Had he chosen differently, he might have gone on to change the technology world instead of music. But for John, the pull of music was too strong to ignore. That pull had already shown itself years earlier. When he was just 14, he and a group of school friends formed a band called The Opposition. Eager to make their mark, local clubs wanted to pay them to perform, and the group quickly started earning more than most teenagers could dream of. But John's mother, protective and cautious, refused to let him play in late-night venues. She wanted her son safe and focused on school, not wandering into smoky clubs filled with strangers. So John found ways around her rules. He told her he was studying at a friend's house while sneaking off to rehearsals. It was risky, but it was the only way to keep chasing the music he loved. The opposition might have stayed small, but the secret thrill of balancing his mother's expectations with his own passion taught John how to live in two worlds at once, something that would later prove vital in Queen. The real turning point came not from a performance but from a small homemade invention. Using scraps from his college lab and an old television speaker, John built a little amplifier for less than £8. It didn't look like much, but when Brian May plugged his guitar into it, the sound was unlike anything they had ever heard. Warm, rich, and alive in a way no commercial amp could deliver. It created the tone that would carry some of Queen's most iconic songs. That tiny box, later called the DC amp, became irreplaceable. More than 50 years later, Brian May still uses it. Engineers have studied it for decades, but none have managed to recreate its magic. Few fans know it, but that quiet, practical bassist had given Queen a sound the world would never forget. Even so, John nearly never joined Queen at all. When he first saw them perform, he wasn't impressed. He thought their style was a bit much and even started his own band instead, focusing on more technical music that better matched his skills. For a while, seemed like that was the path he would take. But when his guitarist left For another opportunity, John reluctantly agreed to audition for Queen. On February 20th, 1971 at Imperial College London, he played a steady bass line, said almost nothing, and left without fuss. He wasn't flashy. He didn't compete for attention. And in a band full of big personalities, that was exactly what they needed. From the start, his silence became his secret weapon. Other bassists had tried to stand out, clashing with Freddie Mercury's vision, but John simply supported the music. In the studio, he stayed quiet until he had something worth saying, and when he did, the band listened. He wasn't interested in being in the spotlight. He was interested in making the music better. That balance gave Freddie, Brian, and Roger the space to shine, while John quietly held everything together. Not everything came easy. On Queen's first album, management convinced him to use the name Deacon John, claiming it sounded more like a blues legend. For John, it felt fake, and seeing it in print left him shaken. He later demanded his real name back and never let anyone make that choice for him again. From then on, he avoided the tricks and games of the music business as much as possible. What most fans never realized was just how much John brought beyond his bass. He could play piano, guitar, and even double bass, teaching himself instruments with surprising speed. He quietly slipped rhythm guitar parts into hits like Crazy Little Thing called Love. And when he wrote another one, Bites the Dust, he introduced Queen to a funk groove that became one of their biggest successes. John Deacon was still a teenager when he met Veronica Tetzlaff at a disco in 1971. At the time, Queen was just starting out and far from famous, while Veronica worked as a nanny at a teacher training college. The two fell for each other quickly and stayed together through the band's earliest years when money was tight and life was uncertain. After 4 years of dating, they married in January 1975 in a small ceremony. Their bond turned out